Okay, hello Jodie. Nice to
Hi,
see you.
Laura.
Hello. Thank you for joining today. And as I've briefly mentioned, I'm aware that I sound a little bit like Phil Mitchell. And this is not because I've been on a wild night out or anything, but I think you did recently. But you're sounding very fresh. You're very fresh. And now, yeah, I sound awful. So I'm gonna do something unusual, which is try and talk as little as possible, and ask you some questions and really look forward to hearing from you. Is that all right?
Yeah, cool.
Amazing. All right, Jodie. So, first of all, let us meet Jodie. So, what do you do outside of teaching yoga?
Yeah, so outside of teaching yoga, I am, well, the biggest job is that I'm a mum to a 3-year-old. So that keeps me really busy. And I also, I don't know how, work a full-time job over 4 days. So I work for the local council in the leisure and culture team where we work in kind of arts, heritage, sports development, and all of like doing projects around that. So it's very it's different from yoga, but I suppose there's some links with this whole thing of getting people active and getting people in tune with kind of other things other than the daily life. So yeah, very very busy life, and then I teach yoga, so it's yeah very very busy.
But all really important work. I mean, obviously with Nico, your little one, but sometimes when we talk to people who teach yoga, there's a very that's my real job, and sometimes it can be very functional, just pays the bills, pays the mortgage, like it's what they've always
Mm.
done. Maybe there's not much passion in it, but it really serves the life that they need to live. But it sounds like yours is also still connected to helping people and well-being and being of service, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. And I studied fine art. I went to art school as well. So it kind of like brings every element of my life together, which is it's quite nice. It's a bit of like not whole circle, but it gives me purpose because I never really knew what I wanted to do as a job. So it's kind of like, okay, at least I'm putting all of the things I do know into work. So it's
Yeah,
good.
that's awesome. That's lovely. Okay, so when then did you first get into yoga and why?
Gosh, this is when you start counting the years, isn't it? So I first got into yoga, oh gosh, now about 16 years ago. That's a long time, isn't it? So I was about 18. So it's really superficial. So I think my mum was at a point in her life where she was probably going through menopause, and yeah, she was dealing with having teenagers, and she was going to yoga with her sister, and then my brother's girlfriend at the time started going to yoga with them, and I felt a bit left out. So I was like, I'm going to come to yoga too. And I also really liked the idea of having a yoga mat because, it's come from being like the pencil case at school with the gel pens. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have a yoga mat now. It's so superficial when I think about it now. So that was why I first went to yoga. And we went to this really lovely hatha class that was just in a local village in a school hall. Um, and I think it kind of just stuck with me because I was at that point in my life where I was a teenager. I was very busy. I was, out partying 4 nights a week. Um, and I suppose that had an effect without me knowing because you think you're invincible at that age of kind of like starting to have quite low mood, low self-worth. And I went to the yoga class and I was just like confronted is the only word, not by the physical side of it, but of that I was like, okay, why can't I sit here and just be with myself? How come I'm really struggling to lie here at the end of class? Everyone else seems to be doing this all okay. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And the more I practiced, the quieter that became and the calmer I felt. And yeah, it just became one of those things that I went and did with my mom, and it was kind of like my breakaway from teenage angst and partying, and a little bit of time to step back, I suppose, and without me knowing what I know now, just learn how to be with myself and be in the present moment. So, yeah, that's how I first started practicing.
I love to hear that because I think there's so many misconceptions around these big moments that like we
Mm,
find yoga or yoga finds us, and yoga saved me, and all of those types of things. And I guess it did in a way, Jodie, like, who knows what would happen if you didn't find it. But I love that it's just you wanted to come along, you wanted a yoga mat, like the universe at that time went, this is the time for you, and we're going to make you want to come.
yeah,
And like just it can be so quietly, can't it? And yet it can be so
definitely.
powerful, right?
Yeah, yeah. It became, I suppose, my kind of like breakthrough with yoga came a bit later into my practice, really, but it definitely became that anchor that I knew. And I say this to my students now is like, you can always come back to this practice. Like, it's not something you have to physically get on your mat to do. It is something you can always come back to. And that is something that's really been with me in this last 16 years as my practice has changed and it's took different forms and I've practiced so many different styles, but I know that I can always come back to it. And it's like just that discovery of that kind of anchoring in my life, which has been, yeah, what yoga is really for me. So,
And like, yeah, you've defined it perfectly.
mm,
Okay, so then at what point did you think, right, time for teacher training?
that's a whole journey. So yeah, I'd been going to the class with my mum for a while, and then I think I took a break towards the end of studying. So I was at art school, and I was just really into doing art, and I was in a band, and I was performing. And I took this massive break from it, and then it was kind of like rock not rock bottom, but you leave university. And like I said, I didn't really know what I wanted to do as a job. And I was in the world of work. And at that point, I thought, oh, should I become a yoga teacher? But that self doubt crept in. I was like, oh, no, you're not good enough. You can't do a handstand. You can't be a yoga teacher. You've not. I started reading up on it. It's like, you need X amount of practice for this consistent. And I was like, oh, I've been doing most of it at home. Like, no one can vouch for me for that. I'll never get on a teacher training. So yeah, I just carried on and I started exploring yoga a little bit more. Got really into kind of doing Ashtanga practice about twice a week and Iyengar practice once a week. So very disciplined kind of yoga practices, very alignment based. And I got into when I was getting into that, I thought, okay, yeah, maybe now is my chance to go do yoga teacher training. But because I was battling with that kind of external world of, oh my gosh, where do I fit in career wise? And I was also in like a difficult relationship too. The strangest thing happened, and I completely lost my voice for about 6 months. So that kind of put a stop to me being able to go do teacher training because I can't teach if I've got no voice, and I couldn't work because I had no voice. Um, Again, yoga was the only thing that stayed consistent. Um, so I started studying. I thought, right, if I can't do teacher training, I'm going to study psychology online and research into yoga. Um, and that led me down all sorts of paths. I went to India, did a placement that was really great, looking at kind of ancient wisdom. And I thought, okay, yeah, maybe now I'll do my teacher training. Now I'm back from India and I've had this amazing experience, and my life had moved on, and I was feeling quite settled within myself. And then COVID happened. And then I had a baby. So, 6 years down the line of me going, yeah, maybe now I'll do my teacher training. Um, it didn't happen. And I went back to work after having Nico, and I was working part-time, and I was like, okay, maybe I should do my teacher training now because I could definitely fit in teaching. Now I work part-time and Nico's a bit more independent. And really sadly, my dad got a diagnosis of cancer on New Year's Eve, 2024. 2024, I'm losing track of the years, aren't I? 2023, sorry. And at that point, I had this moment of reflection. I was like, okay, it's going to be a difficult year and you're going to need something for you. And I'd been stalking Soul Sanctuary for quite a while, not going to lie. And I thought, right, look what Soul Sanctuary doing because they're local. So if you are going to do anything, they're a local teacher training. And I thought I could do it online. It will just give me that kind of break away from what's going to be a really kind of difficult year with dad's illness. And I remember thinking, no, just do it. And I booked a call with you. And I was like, I think I'm going to do it online, but I was just going to ring and ask how it would be in person. You explained the in person thing. And it was the extended teacher training where it was one weekend every month. And I was like, do you know what? I actually think I really need that. I think I will
Mm.
actually really need one weekend away from Nico, away from everything that's going on every month to come and do it and focus on it. So then I've got the rest of my time to be mom, to be a daughter, to do all of those things as well. So yeah, it was kind of like take this time, do something for you, and yeah, just do it. Because the other thing I thought, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. Because I'd had
Mm.
so many moments of maybe I should do it now, maybe I should do it now, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna go with it. You know, I felt like that kind of difficult news about dad was like the turning point, that kind of thing of when you feel or see the fragility of kind of your life and your health, um it puts into perspective like just do it while you can, kind of thing. So yeah, that's how I ended up on teacher training.
Oh, Jodie, thanks for sharing that because I know that's a huge journey, isn't it? And
Yeah.
there's big milestones in there and really difficult stuff going on.
Mm.
And I know like during the training, that journey continued
Mm-hmm.
and you were so incredible to keep going. And like I've never seen strength like it, I just really still will always remember that. Um, but and in a way, it's so beautiful that like that was the time that it needed to happen, and
Yeah,
like really was there during that period, right?
absolutely, absolutely. It was like it was, yeah, definitely it kind of ran alongside it, and in some ways it made, I had another thing to think about, adding into that busyness, adding into kind of like the things you have on your plate, so to speak. But along that journey, because of what you go through in teacher training and how you look at yourself and how you look at the world around you and change and discover things, it did really help me process it. Because unfortunately dad passed away in October just before we finished teacher training, and I think dealing with I don't think I would have dealt the same with like the loss of of my father if I hadn't have been doing the teacher training.
Mm.
And yeah, I have had moments absolutely of sadness and grief and all of those, but I suppose, like you said, the strength that I found that I had just from my practice, from learning about yoga, from learning about myself, helped me to really kind of cultivate this idea of, I suppose acceptance is the biggest thing around it. And, this a whole thing of, um, spreading kind of that feeling of loving kindness and all of those things. That was just a massive, yeah, really massive year. But there was some real positives that came out of a really negative situation, which I think I wouldn't recognize that if I hadn't done the teacher training and I didn't practice yoga. So, you know,
It was quite remarkable because like earlier in this call you spoke about yoga being your anchor, and I feel like
mm-hmm.
what a storm, what a storm you were in that moment,
Yeah,
and you were so calm. It looked so healthy from the outside. It was like you were totally in feeling. There was no denial, there was no suppression, there was no head in the sand. It was just allowing it to all wash over you and
mm,
yet still being anchored.
yeah.
So yeah, really just so amazing to witness and just yeah, acknowledging you for all of that. And then you absolutely smashed your exam anyway. I mean, you were always an absolute natural teacher from like day one. I remember you standing up practice teaching and us teachers kind of looking at each other going, wow, like she's amazing. And now you are teaching, right?
I am, yeah, yeah. So now I'm teaching in the studio, which is great. And I think I don't know. I've always because I've been a performer, because I've always been quite confident. Like it was always the natural path for me. I know it's not for everybody when they sign up to teacher training, but like that was my end goal. I was doing teacher training to teach, to carry on trying to give yoga to more people. Like I found it as well. Um, so yeah, I'm over the moon to be teaching. in the studio, and I've got my own little class in Redditch where I live, and I do another one at a gym. So yeah, and that's the thing. It's like the thing that gets me through the working week as well. It's like, okay, I've got the work, the day job, the Teams calls and all of that, and then I go and teach and I go, I feel like I've done a class myself almost. So it's, yeah, I absolutely love the teaching side of it, and but I'm not surprised by that.
Wow, you're so good at it. I'm not surprised either because you're so good at it. But I remember like talking to you about the mentorship, and I love it as well. Like, even though you were super confident, I guess probably what because your life was so busy, the idea of like at that beginning stage trying to set everything up when you just wanted to like get the hours under your belt and teach, and you just
Mm.
sailed through the mentorship, and then that was just natural for you to then become part of the team, which was awesome. But you're just that perfect example of like how the system can really work, if you
Yeah,
just stick at
definitely.
it.
I think as well, like, I think there is, you know, you should always believe in yourself and always have that confidence. But I think that's the other thing about yoga is like, just I am so open to any more learning, any more experience. And there's this idea of like, you know, I don't think you can ever know it all. And I think, again, it's this kind of thing of like, because it's been passed down through so many people, every teacher can teach you something else. So with the mentorship, although, I was quite confident in my teaching, it was like kind of like, but what else can I learn from these people? What else can I learn in a slightly different setting to my teacher training, where there's like how many of us in a room, whereas it's more intimate and it's kind of like a different way of learning as well. So yeah, I love it. I've like continued to now just still do courses and learning and stuff about yoga because I suppose it's what I love, but
Mm.
it is also kind of part and parcel of it, I believe.
Yeah, we're always students, aren't we? And
Mm,
when you have that love for the subject, like you just kind of can't wait to like
yeah,
be exposed to more of the
yeah,
magic, I
it's like
guess.
give me more.
Give me more. Yeah, exactly. So why do you think yoga is so important then, Jodie? Like when you're teaching your classes, what is like the message that you're trying to get across?
I think, again, this is like absolutely, I'm aware this has completely changed for me throughout my practice. So everyone coming through the door will be coming for a completely different reason. But I think more than anything, it's this thing of kind of getting out of that everyday life, getting out of that doing that hamster wheel, and it's just getting to be in a space. And like that first class taught me, of like just allowing yourself to be confronted and to take space and to take a break and go, hey, it's okay to sit here, it's okay to sit with this. And it's, I think, yeah, I think that it's that resounding thing. I keep talking about the anchor, but this thing of just like bringing you back to center, bringing you back to self, so that then you can be recharged, or you can feel a little more calm, or whatever it is. Or maybe if you've got an injury, you can feel a slightly less discomfort, or you feel like you're doing something to work towards rehabilitating yourself. Is that kind of like just stepping away from that everyday mindless kind of, we have to do it, but yoga gives you the space to take a break from that and step away and not do it. So it absolutely just welcome people coming in and doing that in any shape or form that feels right for them, because if they need to just lie there, they can, but if they want to go through the practice or do something really more challenging in the class, then they can do that also.
I feel like I want to come to your class tonight. I'm literally listening, like, oh my God, I just need it. Um, yeah, it does. It sounds beautiful, and your classes are beautiful. And so, when and where can we find you teaching, Jodie?
So I teach at the studio on Fridays at 5:15. So that's my class with Soul Sanctuary. And then I teach on a Monday evening in Redditch. Um, and a Saturday morning at a small gym in Studley called Feels Fit. But yeah, I have a website, so there is information on my website. She says, but admin's my day job, so it's not my strong point outside of my day job.
Well, we'll pop that website link in the little bio so people
Yeah.
can look you up. But definitely come and see Jodie at the studio, and
Yeah.
you'll absolutely love her classes as much as you'll love her, no doubt. So thank you, thanks, Jodie.
Thank you.